Good Shabbos, almost everyone. Okay.
Well, good.
Hello, everyone. Good Shabbos, almost.
Shabbos.
Good Shabbos. Good Shabbos.
I have to get oriented here and there.
There we go.
Screen setup.
Yep. So the candles are a little magic tonight because with the background, I have to have my hands in front of them for you to see them, I guess. But they'll once they're lit, they'll show up. So there's one. There's two. They're magic candles.
I see the rabbi.
Good. We'll give it a few more minutes and we'll get started, at which point we'll mute you all again, but that's okay. Nice to see everybody.
Oh,
I'm trying to see if they can see you.
Does he see me?
I don't know. I'll tell you in a second.
look, there's Gail.
Peggy, I see a futz in there.
Yeah, I'm trying to put you on gallery, and I haven't. I'm trying to figure out my iPad how I get the gallery view.
We may need to unspotlight me.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
But I'm not.
Celine, do you
finding-
want to unspotlight me? It's okay. It'll once we get.
Maybe I have the same issue on the iPad.
Yeah.
Oh,
So,
hey, Gail.
Hi.
I see the rabbi.
I
There
know,
you
but
go.
we're.
So
yeah, I'm
now you
trying to-
can pick gallery and see one another.
Still
No.
not.
Yeah.
Maybe if I get,
No, I'm still
I'll
not
get
seeing it.
closer.
No. It's something with the settings.
Okay. It'll be okay.
It'll be okay. But
It'll
good
be-
to see you, Serge.
Thank you. Nice
And
to
I'm here
see
with
you.
Sylvia.
Hi, Sylvia. Shabbos.
Bye.
And we
Hi,
just got to
Sil.
get.
Shabbos.
Hi,
We got to get
Peggy.
Michael away from the computer, so I'm going to go down and pull him away.
I understand.
Yeah.
I started 6:30 so that I end on time. But if
We
people
know.
come late, leave early, I don't mind. That's been my motto for 23 plus years now. It
Serge?
serves us well, I think.
Yes, Serge, I'm controlling my parents' computer from Brooklyn. So
Okay. I see them.
Yes.
I see Gail's iPad and then I see Gail Wrestler. So
that's right.
I
But
see your folks.
they're in different states. So I will unmute them.
Maybe if I stand up.
The problem is the way that they have the settings.
Hi, Andy.
Okay. So I'm going to mute everyone anyway, and we'll get some more chit chat opportunity when we're done with the service. So welcome everyone. And,
If I stand up.
No. It's their settings.
right. So you'll have. Don't believe in these things, but try not to unmute yourself unless you really need to. There we go. Okay. So welcome everybody. Just a few reminders about what we're doing here, which is that the Zoom platform lets us be with one another. I'm screen sharing and recording our service tonight. So just to be aware of that, if you don't want to be recorded, you can turn off your video camera but still be a part of this and watch. You just turn off where it says stop video. You'll still be able to see, but we won't see you. Likewise, I've set everyone to mute. You do have the capacity to unmute yourself, but please, during the service, if people unmute themselves, it's because of the limitations of the speed of light. Believe it or not, the speed of light is too slow. We have this delay that creates all sort of sound echoes and effects at a distance. And so it's better if there's just one person speaking at any moment. At the end of the service, we'll let that be, and we can all have the cacophony of being together. There will be times during the service where I will ask you to share aloud names, And hopefully everyone will do that if they're comfortable doing it. I also want to remind you that there will be times where I say, please rise in body and or spirit as you are able. And if you are and desirous of doing that, I encourage you to do so and focus. Typically, we face east toward Jerusalem. At some points, we might face the entryway to our home to invite in the Sabbath bride. But again, these are customs, and if it's not comfortable, please just stay where you are. Another word, if you're using one of those portable devices like an iPhone or an iPad, and you decide to take a wander with it, that's fine, but we'll be seeing you, or at least I will. And there may be places you don't want to wander in with your video running. So again, that's the stop video button, so that you don't share more than you want to with all of us. So that's the screen share, and that's all of our readiness. And I am going to invite everyone now to take a moment, have a deep breath. In fact, I'm gonna just adjust my sound there. There we go. Okay. Another deep breath in. We want to be present with one another. And perhaps most importantly, we want to be present with ourselves. Our minds tend to run and distract us on what just happened or what is going to be. And being in the moment and being present with one another and with ourselves is hard in our society. So I want to invite you, as I like to say each week, we move from being creators to being creatures. We move from defining our worth and value by what we do, and we simply are. We encounter ourselves as beings rather than doers. And we acknowledge innate divine worth within each and every human being, having been created in the divine image, filled with the soul of all the universe on Shabbat. So if you have your own candles at the ready and you'd like to join me, I invite you to prepare for this very last creative act of our work week, our last action. I don't know to what degree with my current background you're going to be able to see these candles. I hope so. So they're a little invisible, it looks like. Let's see if I can put them right in front of me so that you can see them. There we go. Okay. 1, 2, 3. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech העולם אשר קידשנו במצוותיו וציוונו להדליק נר של שבת. And our candles are going to exit as we continue in our worship together. Let's join together. Now, I know that we can't hear one another, but I will say that we can see each other's lips moving, and we know that we're participating together, and we can hear that spiritual echo of all those participations together. There are days when we seek things for ourselves and measure our failure by what we do not gain. On Shabbat, we seek not to acquire, but to share. There are days when we exploit nature as if it were a horn of plenty that can never be exhausted. On Shabbat, we stand in wonder before the mystery of creation. There are days when we act as if we cared nothing for the rights of others. On Shabbat, we are reminded that justice is our duty and a better world our goal. So we embrace Shabbat, day of rest, day of wonder, day of peace. We invite Shabbat, personified as bride and queen, groom and king, beloved lover, the one whose return we await each and every week, not merely sacred time, but sacred personage to come and be present with us in our home and at our tables. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. 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 שמור וזכור בדיבור אחד, השמיענו אל המיוחד. אדוני אחד ושמו אחד, לשם ולתפארת ולתהילה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לקראת שבת לכו ונלכה, כי מקור הברכה מראש מקדם נסוכה, סוף מעשה במחשבה תחילה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. התעוררי, התעוררי, כי באורך קומי אורי, אורי, שיר דברי, כבוד אדוני עלייך נגלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. We rise as we are able in body and or spirit. We face the entryway to our home, and we invite Shabbat to come and join us. בואי ושלום עטרת בעלה, גם בשמחה ובצהלה, תוך אמונה עם סגולה. בואי חלה, בואי חלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. So I am going to ask Celine to unmute all of us for a moment, just so we can extend Shabbat greetings to one another. It'd be a little cacophonous, but that's okay. So feel free to unmute yourself, which you're capable of doing. We'll remute you in a second, but take a moment, say hello. I'll stop the screen share. That'll give you more room to share on the screen with one another.
Hello, Shabbat
Everyone.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom,
Shabbat
Marty.
shalom.
Hi, Phyllis.
Hello, whoever said
Shabbat
that.
shalom, Andy. Hello, Peggy.
Hi,
Hello.
Mary.
Right there.
Hello, everyone.
Good to see you.
Hi,
Good to see you.
You too.
Hey, everybody.
That's
Shabbat
nice.
shalom.
Hi, Marion.
Clemens.
Hi,
Hi,
Cheyenne.
Mark.
Hi, Martha.
Hello.
Everybody who pops up.
There
I
we
found
go.
Oh, look beautiful.
So I want to remind you, by the way, that we have the equivalent of passing notes in the classroom, and that's called the chat function. So even though we may be muted during the worship, you can pass notes to one another on the chat function at the bottom. And the way the chat works is you can send a note to everyone, but you'll notice when you hit that chat that there's a pull down
Let go. Let go.
and you not only can send it to the entire everyone in the meeting, but you can pick a person you want to chat with. Not that I want to distract you from your prayers, right? But if you have an insight into the prayers that you need to share with someone, you could do that on the chat function. Okay, they can't do so. Let's see. Selena's saying to me, they can't do gallery with screen share. I'm not sure if it has anything to do with Spotlight. Yes, that has to do when we Spotlight. But you should be able to chat. And
Wait,
No, no,
that's
I'm
it.
getting.
right, but everyone's on gallery now. Do you see each other? Everyone has their gallery view. Good. Okay. So that disappears, I think, when we sort of. Actually, you should, even with screen share. There should be a choice for gallery view. These are very technical things, far beyond my rabbinic training. Okay, so we'll go back to sharing our service with one another.
Hey, can I see you?
There we go.
Yeah,
But they're taking it all over you.
I'm not touching it.
Don't touch.
There we go. And actually, I'm
I
just
did my eyebrow.
mute everyone again.
Nice.
There we go. Okay, and we'll go back to our screen share and feel free to send notes. There we go. So let me put that over, and there we are. And we are at the psalm that the Levites welcomed people to Jerusalem as Shabbat was beginning. The ancient psalm, Psalm 92, Mizmor Shir Liyom HaShabbat. Mizmor Shir Liyom HaShabbat. Tov lehodot l'Adonai. ולזמר לשמך עליון, ולזמר לשמך עליון. מזמור שיר ליום השבת, טוב להודות לאדוני, ולזמר לשמך עליון, ולזמר לשמך עליון. להגיד בבוקר חסדך ואמונתך בלילות, עלי עשור ועלי נע ולעלי היגיון בכינור. מזמור שיר ליום השבת, טוב להודות לאדוני, ולזמר לשמך עליון, ולזמר לשמך עליון. כי שימחתני אדוני בפועלך, במעשה ידך רנן. מה גדלו מעשיך אדוני, מאוד עמקו מחשבותיך. מזמור שיר ליום השבת, טוב להודות לאדוני, ולזמר לשמך עליון, ולזמר לשמך עליון, ולזמר לשמך עליון, ולזמר לשמך עליון. If I forgot to tell you that you could be seated at any point, please forgive me, but I will ask you to rise now for Reader's Kaddish and the Baruch Hu. So if you are able in body and or spirit to rise, I certainly invite you to do so. If you've been standing since the end of Lecha Dodi, I apologize. Try to remember. יתגדל ויתקדש שמי רבה, ויעמד יברח חירותאי, וימליך מלכותאי, בחייכון וביומכון, ובחיי דכל בית ישראל, בגלה בגלה, ובזמן קריב אמרו, אמן. יהי שמי רבה מברך, לעלם ולעולמי עלמיה, יתברך. יתברך וישתבח, ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא, ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל, שמד קודשה ברכו, לילה מן כל ברכתה ושירתה, תושבחתה ונחמתה, דמירן בימה, ואמרו אמן. Ya la 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 Barechu et Adonai Hamevorach Baruch Adonai Hamevorach Hamevorach Leolam vaed, Hamevorach, Hamevorach, Leolam vaed. And if you'd like to have a seat at this point, I invite you to do so. We join together in the creation prayer. Praise to you, Adonai, our God, from whom the evening flows. Your wisdom sets the way on which time and season glide. Your breath guides the sail of the stars. Creator of the tide of time and light, you guide the current of day into night. As heaven spans to infinity, you set its course for eternity. Praise to you, Adonai, our God, from whom the evening flows. Baruch atah Adonai, ha'ma'ariv aravim. Ahavat olam Beit Yisrael Amcha avta Amecha avta Torah u'mitzvot Hukim u'mishpatim Otanu lemata Otanu lemata, al ken Adonai Eloheinu b'shokbeinu, uvkumenu nasiach bechukecha, v'nismak b'divrei toratecha, u'mitzvotecha leolam va'ed, ki hem chayenu, v'yorech yameinu, ובהם נגה יומם ולילה, נגה יומם ולילה, ואהבתך אל תסיר ממנו לעולמים, ברוך אתה אדוני, אוהב עמו ישראל, אוהב עמו Israel. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kivod Malchuto Leolam Vaed. Hear, O Israel, Adonai is our God, Adonai is one. Blessed is God's glorious majesty forever and ever. ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך, והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבבך, ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ושוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם להות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אדוני אלוהיכם emet. We read together. Standing on the parted shores of history, we still believe what we were taught before ever we stood at Sinai's foot, that wherever we go, it is eternally Egypt, that there is a better place, a promised land, that the winding way to that promise passes through the wilderness, and that there is no way to get from here to there except by joining hands and marching together. מי כמוך באלים אדוני, מי כמוך נדר בקודש, נורתי לוד אוספל, נורתי לוד אוספל, מלכותך ראו בניך, בוקע ים לפני משה ומרים, זה לי אנו ואמרו, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד, יאי ביי ביי בים בים בם, יא ביי ביי בים בם, יאי ביי ביי בים בים בם, יא ביי ביי בים בם, איי 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 איי, יא ביי ביי בים בם, איי 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 איי, יא ביי ביי בים בם. ונאמר כי פדה אדוני את יעקב, וגאלו מיד חזק ממנו, ברוך אתה אדוני, גאל ישראל. And we turn to Hashkivenu as we ask that the divine presence watch over us as we lay down to sleep. Hashkivenu Adonai, Eloheinu leshalom, והעמידנו שומרנו לחיים. השכיבנו אדוני אלוהינו לשלום, והעמידנו שומרנו לחיים. ושמור צאתנו ובואנו לחיים ולשלום מעתה ועד עולם. השכיבנו אדוני אלוהינו לשלום, והעמידנו שומרנו לחיים. ברוך אתה, אתה אדוני הפורש סוכת שלום. שלום עלינו ועל כל עמו ישראל, ועל ירושלים ועל כל עמו, ועל ירושלים שלום. ברוך אתה, אתה אדוני הפורש סוכת שלום. שלום עלינו ועל כל עמו ישראל. שלום עלינו ועל כל עמו ישראל. more than our people has kept Shabbat for certain. Shabbat has kept us through all the centuries, the millennia, the touchstone of the covenant between us and the divine, a day of sanctified, not space, but sanctified time, brought about by a partnership of the divine and we mortals. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ביני ובין בני ישראל, אותי לעולם אותי לעולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ, ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. וביום השביעי שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. I invite, once again, as you are able and comfortable, to rise in body and or spirit as we turn our hearts and minds toward Jerusalem and indeed toward the divine throughout the world, as we step forward and imagine ourselves entering into the divine realms, the throne room of Adonai. Adonai, Sifatai tiftach, ufi agid tehilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips, that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu ve'Elohei avotenu v'imoteinu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzhak, ve'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, ve'Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor ve'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, וקונה הכל, וזוכר חסדי אבות ואימהות, ומביא גאולה לבני בניהם, למען שמו באהבה, מלך עוזר ומושיע ומגן. ברוך אתה אדוני, מגן אברהם ועזרת שרה. אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, מחיי הכל אתה רב להושיע, מוריד הטל. מכלכל חיים בחסד, מחיי הכל ברחמים רבים. סומך נופלים ורופא חולים, ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו לשני עפר. מי כמוך בעל גבורות ומדומה לך, מלך ממית ומחיה ומצמיח ישועה, ונאמן אתה לחיות הכל. ברוך אתה אדוני מחיי הכל. אתה קדוש ושמך קדוש, וקדושים בכל יום יהללוך סלה. ברוך אתה אדוני האל הקדוש. There are different customs. If you'd like to take a seat now, you're welcome to. Some choose to remain standing until the prayer for peace, whatever your custom. We join together. May these hours of rest and renewal open our hearts to joy and our minds to truth. May all who struggle find rest on this day. May all who suffer find solace. May all who hurt find healing on this day. May all who despair find purpose. May all who hunger find fulfillment on this day. And may this day fulfill its promise. Baruch atah Adonai mikadesh ha-Shabbat. Together, ever-present one, may we, your people Israel, be worthy in our deeds and our prayer. Wherever we live, wherever we seek you, in this land in Zion restored, in all lands, you are our God, whom alone we serve in reverence. Baruch atah Adonai, shotecha levadecha b'yirah na'avod. Together in thanksgiving, God of goodness, we give thanks for the gift of life, wonder beyond words, for the awareness of soul, our light within, for the world around us so filled with beauty, for the richness of the earth which day by day sustains us. For all these and more we offer thanks. Baruch atah Adonai, hatov shimcha ulecha na'eh lehodot. We join in singing our prayer for peace. Shalom Rav al Yisrael amcha tasim leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael amcha tasim leolam. Ki ata hu melech Adon lechol ha-shalom. Ki ata hu melech Adon lechol ha-shalom. Shalom Rav al Yisrael amcha tasim leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael amcha tasim leolam. V'tov beinecha levarech et amecha Yisrael b'chol עת ובכל שעה בשלומך. שלום רב על ישראל עמך תשים לעולם. שלום רב על ישראל עמך תשים לעולם. תשים לעולם, תשים לעולם. ברוך אתה אדוני, המברך את עמו ישראל, בשלום. And we take these moments, there's a blank screen, affords us an opportunity for the unscripted words of our own hearts, reflecting on the week past and our aspirations for the week to come. I want to share before we join in the singing, this coming Thursday evening and Friday is the first day of a new Hebrew month, the month of Elul. Elul is the 6th month of the Hebrew calendar. I think most of us know that the Jewish New Year starts on the first day of the second half of the year. It's kind of like school. You start 6th grade or college or whatever in the fall, even though we began the year in January. Same thing is true about the Jewish year. So we have 12 Jewish lunar months. That 12th month, the last one, is doubled in certain years. We get a 13th, a duplication, so that we keep the moon aligned with the solar seasons. but it's still a lunar month, 29 and a half days. Hard to know what to do with that half day. This Thursday evening, Friday, so if you look Thursday night, aside from the Perseid meteor showers, you will also see the sliver, if the night is clear, of a brand new moon. And that allows us the opportunity to prepare for the high holidays. The month of Elul, the 6th month, is a month of preparation. The rabbis drush on it, that the letters of Elul, Aleph Lamed, Vav Lamed, Elul, spell out Ani Dodi Vidodi Li. I am my beloved and my beloved is mine. A reminder that the relationship between God and Israel is one of spouses and partners and lovers. And so we go all the way back to the 17th of Tammuz. Actually, Shavuos is the wedding, but the 17th of Tammuz is a break in the relationship. That's the golden calf. And so we have this season to repair relationships. So not just divine ones, also personal ones and familial ones. So that's what the coming month offers us, a whole month. You can't just walk cold into Rosh Hashanah. You can, but you won't get that much out of it. Yehiu leratzon imrefi v'gyon libi lefanecha Adonai tzuri Adonai tzuri v'goali v'goali. So I'm going to stop the screen share. And I have a sermonette, a drasha, to share with everyone. So you can pass your notes during the sermon if you like, chit-chat a little, and let me offer these words. Shabbat Shalom. An interesting question put forward by readers of many passages in this fifth and final book of the Torah, Deuteronomy, is, who's speaking? Is it God? Is it Moses, seized by the divine spirit, something of a human loudspeaker? Or finally, is this simply Moses speaking in his own limited human voice, trying to express his own understanding of the divine experience and communication that has been shared with him? How we understand who the speaker is and whom these specific words originate with is key to how we modern Jews might relate to and engage with many of the mitzvot, the commandments of the Torah. The language of mitzvot in the Torah is not merely divine and commanding, transcendent and instructive. The language is also immanent and parental, guiding and loving, and even sometimes chiding. Moses typically addresses B'nai Yisrael in the manner that that Hebrew name indicates, children of Israel. Moses addresses them as children. God is presented by Moses as a stern and authoritative father figure, quick to emotion, a jealous God. Perhaps not our idea of the parent we would want. So just imagine if your child wanted to be adopted by someone else's parent. That'll help explain all the commandments against idolatry. Actually, when our children are at a certain age, many of us are in fact familiar with this request. This week's parasha, therefore, focuses largely on idolatry, wanting to hang out with other gods, and the centralization of Israelite worship at one location. But also, this week's Torah portion presents us with a terminology of reward and punishment, of blessings and curses, as we read in Deuteronomy 11. See, this day I set before you the blessing and the curse. Blessing if you obey the commandments of the eternal your God, and curse if you do not obey the commandments of the eternal your God. This is the language that some parents traditionally would employ with their young children. But as adults, speaking to adult children, we speak of choices and consequences far more than reward and punishment. And indeed, choices and consequences is how we can and should understand the cautionary advice offered in this week's verses of Torah. Rather than the promise of a blessing as a reward or the warning of a curse as a punishment, we find here, I think, the familiar parental message that so many of us are, however imperfectly, trying to convey to our teenage and adult children. And that message is that every choice has consequences, intended and unintended, foreseen and unforeseen, for the good or for the ill. Even choosing not to choose is a choice, and it too will certainly have consequences. So as parents, human parents, but also true of divine, we offer guidelines, advice, dare I say rules, mitzvot, to our children to help instruct them. So yes, you already know following rules is valued in Jewish tradition. As children at every age and stage of development seek to gain and assert their independence, we parents try to ensure their safety and their success. So like our divine parent, we set rules or guidelines or advice, depending on the nomenclature of your parenting and household. At our child's earliest stages, we use rewards as well as the denial of rewards, which you can argue over if that is a punishment or not. But eventually, every parent, human and divine, hopes their child will follow and internalize their advice. Not because the child continues to expect a reward, nor even because the child is fearful of punishment or more likely fearful of disappointing their parent, but rather because the child has internalized the lesson that every choice she or he makes will come with a host of expected and unexpected consequences. Rabbinic teaching wisely opines that the reward for fulfilling a mitzvah is in fact fulfilling the mitzvah. And likewise, the punishment or the curse, if you will, for transgressing a commandment is having transgressed the commandment. In other words, you have to live with it one way or another. This is not a childish notion. This is an adult notion. You may get away with something, but if you have a conscience, one way or another, it lives with you. This past week, police caught up with a man who escaped from a Colorado prison in 1974. He was found living under an alias in a small town in northern New Mexico after the Denver police officer he shot decades ago helped track him down. This 77-year-old fugitive was arrested Wednesday in Española, New Mexico, where he'd been living under an assumed name for 4 decades. So our choices always have consequences, even if they don't always come with rewards or punishments. Not every choice, in fact, most choices, I think, will not bring either a blessing or a curse. The rabbinic sages, in fact, recognized this truth 2 millennia ago when they taught, do not be like servants who serve their master in expectation of receiving a reward. Rather, be as servants who serve their master without the expectation of receiving a reward, and let the reverence of heaven be upon you. Of course, B'nai Yisrael, the children of Israel, are the servants here, and God is the master. If servants are assumed to be motivated by receiving rewards, a child is traditionally assumed to be fearful of angering or disappointing the parent they love. Reverence, awe, even fear are all associated as the paired side of a child's love for their parent. Rashi writes, "The servant who serves out of fear of punishment is lesser than the servant who serves out of love. For the servant who serves out of fear, as soon as the taskmaster becomes too demanding, that servant will flee and hide. But the servant who serves out of love will always return." Now, as usual, I'm going to give the closing quote to Maimonides. He writes, "Anyone who serves out of love, occupying oneself with mitzvot, should not do so for any earthly reason, not out of fear of curses, nor to receive blessings. One should fulfill the truth simply because it is the truth." We Jews have grown from children into adults over the millennia. The Jewish people are children no longer, and we recognize that in the world around us, there is both suffering and satisfaction. Yet too often it is disconnected from human intention and deeds. Neither reward nor punishment is meted out from a divine hand, and often not even from a human source either. If there is to be blessing in this world, it will come about by how we human beings choose to act in response to the choices and consequences we encounter. As we will read in a few weeks, "I set before you life and death, the blessing and the curse. Choose life, that you and your children may live. Ken Yehi Ratzon, and Shabbat Shalom." I want to thank you for the privilege of sharing my thoughts about the weekly portion. I really do invite people after Shabbat is over, if you feel like sending me a note or a comment or a critique or an insight, it's very much appreciated. So thank you. We are going to turn ahead now to prayers for well-being. So I'm going to put the screen share back up. Give me just a second. And I'm going to unmute everyone first so that we can hear people. If you'd like to share a name, I'm also going to share names. Hang on just a moment. If you have two devices on, we're going to get that feedback loop. So we call to mind on this Shabbat, and we pray for healing and blessing for Jerry Armine Klein, Ruth Bader Ginsburg, Judy Rabb, Shatana Carroll, Dr. Elizabeth Matthews, Bracha Batsapora, Gloria Sancho, Eileen Balkin, Jenny St. George, Yigal Ben Alana, Arthur Rose, Aksan Faruqi, Elia Ben Label, Vigita Henya, Chava Gittel Bat Freda, Yona Bat Ephraim Yechezkel Miriam, Fega Devasha Bat Shendel, Florence Spire, Yona Chaya Bat Miriam, Davida, Ruth Bat Binyamin Vachava, Steve Brown Inns, Yona Tevya Ben Label, Vigita Henya, Renee Fishzone, Moshe Ben Leah, Nancy Lazar, and Delroy Aline. And now, if you'd like to share a name aloud, I invite you to do so. Please unmute yourself and share your name.
That's like turns off the.
Amy Gross.
Madeline Pico.
And if you'd like to chat it in, I'll read it out loud if you're having a problem turning your mute off.
Rosalind Nero.
Andy, Richard Sieg, who was in a car accident and walked away from a crushed van.
Rosalind Nero.
Oh, my cousin Karen.
Anyone else? Okay. We'll join together in the singing of Misha Beirach. I'm going to do a screen share. Misha Beirach Avotenu Mikor habracha leimotenu. May the source of strength, who bless the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say Amen. Misha Beirach imotenu Mikor habracha lavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say Amen. Ken Yehi. We join together in the prayer for our nation. Together, O guardian of life and liberty, may our nation always merit your protection. Grant our leaders wisdom and forbearance. May they govern with justice and compassion. Help us all to appreciate one another and to respect the many ways that we may serve you. May our homes be safe from affliction and strife, and our country sound in body and spirit. Amen. Our prayer for the state of Israel. O Heavenly One, Protector and Redeemer of Israel, bless the state of Israel, which marks the dawning of hope for all who seek peace. Shield it beneath the wings of your love and spread over it the canopy of your peace. Send your light and truth to all who lead and advise, guiding them with your good counsel. Strengthen the hands of those who defend our holy land, and grant them deliverance, and adorn them in a mantle of victory. Establish peace in the land and fullness of joy for all who dwell there. Amen. We come to our concluding prayers, Elenu. And again, if you are able to rise in body or spirit, I invite you to do so as we affirm God's sovereignty in our lives. Elenu leshabeach ladon hakol, latekedula leotzer breshit, shehu sam chelkenu liachad et shemo, וגורלנו להמליך מלכותו, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא, שהוא נוטש שמיים ויוסר הארץ, ומושב יקרו בשמיים ממעל, ושכינתו זו בגובה מרומים, הוא אלוהינו אין עוד, אמת מלכנו אפס זולתו, ככתוב בתורתו, וידעת היום והשבות אל לבבך, כי אדוני הוא האלוהים בשמיים ממעל, ועל הארץ מתחת אין עוד. ונאמר, והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ, ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו echad. And our thoughts turn to those gathered with us through the blessing of memory on this Shabbat Eve. We call to mind these recent passings in our community. Call to mind Representative John Lewis, recalled by Rita Schwartz in our community. The passing of Hinda Honey Grobard Marku, recalled by Aaron Marku, Mary Lou Bielik, and Adam and Ben. The passing of Rebecca Annaline Golden Herder, the mother of Leanne Herder, our clergy assistant. The passing of Rabbi Adin Evan Yisrael Steinsaltz, the great teacher of the generation, and the passing of Joe H. Ward, the father of Shana Ward Razawi, father-in-law of Javier, and grandfather of Sophia and Nina. We also call to mind those whose yahrzeit, the anniversary of their death, falls at this season of the year. Antoinette Martignoni, and Jennifer, I'll have you repeat that in a moment, recalled by Jen Wilkov. Sarah Katowitz, recalled by Miriam Katowitz. Daniel Sobel, recalled by William Sobel. Alvin Zagnett, recalled by Stuart Zagnett. Aaron Newhouse, recalled by Robin Slade. Morris Kaufman, recalled by Amy Kaufman. Israel Jacques Krakowski, recalled by Blanche Krakowski. Helen Arkey, recalled by David Arkey. Marty Raskin, recalled by Ray Raskin and Elaine Schultz. Howard Wallen, recalled by Joyce Raskin and Elaine Schultz. Robert Lasky, recalled by Michael Lasky and family. Joseph Epstein, recalled by Joshua Epstein. Harriet Bernstein, recalled by Paul Germain. Eli Katz, recalled by Stephanie Teitelbaum. Philip Itkin, recalled by Rita Schwartz. Max Kirschbaum, recalled by Michelle Kirschbaum. Norman Hall, recalled by Eve Hall. Ethel Konigsberg, recalled by Cheryl Buckholtz. And Joel Kirschbaum, recalled by Michelle Kirschbaum and the entire congregational community. If I've inadvertently mispronounced any name or left off a name, I want to invite you to unmute yourself and share those names aloud.
Arthur Bielik.
Pete Hamill.
Libby Deinhardt.
This is Marvin's yahrzeit. Marvin Starkman.
We sanctify their names and memories, even as we sanctify God's name and pray for the coming of God's realm with the words of Kaddish Yatom, the mourner's Kaddish, as we join together. And Celine, you can unmute everyone. If it's a little cacophonous as we recite Kaddish, that will be okay, I suspect. Yit Gadal v'yit Kadash Shemei Rabbah Be'alma v'ra Hirutei B'yamli Malchutei B'chayechon u'vyomechon u'vchaye Zechol Beit Yisrael Ba'agala u'bizman kariv v'imru Amen. Yehei Shmei Rabba Mivarach L'olam L'almei Almaya Yitbarach V'yishtabach V'yitahor V'yitromam V'yitnaseh V'yitadar V'yitaleh V'yitabal B'nei V'yisha B'richu Leila Min Kol Birchata V'shirata Tush Bechata V'nechemata Damiran B'yalma V'yimru Amen. Yehei Shalom Rabba Maya V'chaim Alenu Kol Yisrael V'imru Amen. Osei Shalom B'mromav Hu Ya'aseh Shalom Alenu V'al Kol Yisrael V'imru Amen. May the source of peace on high cause peace to descend upon us, all Israel, our entire world, and let us all say,
Amen.
Amen. Ose shalom b'mromav, hu yaseh shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, v'imru Amen. Yaseh shalom, yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh shalom, yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Amen. So some brief announcements. Tomorrow morning, Habura 9:30. I believe Cantor Porzakansky is facilitating tomorrow morning. I hope I'm right about that. And again, just that reminder, Elul, the month of contrition, our preparation for the new year, begins Thursday night and Friday. The first day, may it bring us blessing, well-being, and health. I don't think there's anything else. There's lots going on. Check out the website. There'll be more information about what will be happening on the days of awe. We are at Adon Olam, and if you want to mute yourself, we'll sing together, and then we'll make kiddush, and then we can kibitz and unmute ourselves. Adon Olam Asher Malach Yetzir Nivra Li'ed Nasa Becheb Sopo Azai Melech Shemo Nikra Azai Melech Shemo Nikra V'yacharei Kichlot HaKol לבדו ימלוך נורא, והוא היה, והוא הווה, והוא יהיה בתפארה, והוא יהיה בתפארה, והוא אחד ואין שני להמשיל לו להכבירה, בלי ראשית, בלי תכלית, ולא העוז והמשרה, ולא העוז והמשרה, והוא אלי וחי גואלי וצור חבלי בצרה, והוא ניסי ומנוס לי מנת כוסי ביום אקרא, מנת כוסי ביום אקרא, בידו אפקיד רוחי בעת אישן ביעירה, ועם רוחי יביאתי אדוני לי ולא יירא, אדוני לי ולא יירא. So if you have some grape juice or wine or brandy or another beverage ready for Kiddush, Vayerev vayevoker yom hashishi, vayechulu hashamayim v'haaretz v'chol tzivam, vayechol Elohim bayom hashvi מלאכתו אשר עשה, וישפוט ביום השביעי מכל מלאכתו אשר עשה, ויברך אלוהים את יום השביעי, ויקדש אותו, כי בו שבת מכל מלאכתו אשר ברא אלוהים לעשות. סברי חבריי לחיים. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם, בורא פרי הגפן. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם, אשר קידשנו במצוותיו ורצה בנו, בשבת קודשו באהבה וברצון הנחילנו, זיכרון למעשה וראשית, כי הוא יום תחילה למקראי קודש, זכר ליציאת מצרים. כי בנו בחרת, באותנו קידשת מכל העמים, ושבת קודשך באהבה וברצון הנחלתנו. ברוך אתה אדוני מקדש השבת. Amen. Chaim.
Chaim.
So, if you don't have your challah ready to go, here we go. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Amen. Bon appetit. A good Shabbos to everybody. You can, here, I'm hitting unmute all.
Good Shabbos.
Good Shabbos.
Good Shabbos, everybody.
Good Shabbos.
Shabbos. Shabbos.
Shabbos.
So nice to see everyone.
Yes.
Real thank you for joining together.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
Everyone.
Marcia.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom, everybody.
Shabbat shalom. Hi, Karen.
Hi, nice to see you. Hi, Ann.
Hi.
Hi, Mark.
Hi, Karen.
Hi, Marcia.
Hi, Landmans.
Hi, Martha.
Hi, Sue.
Hi, Martha. Hi, Ann and Mark.
Hi, Aunt
Dad.
Mark. Hi, Gail.
Hi, Gail.
Hi, Karen.
Shabbos.
Karen.
Hi, Gail. Hi, everybody.
Hi, Peggy.
Hello, Karen and
Shabbat
Landman.
shalom.
Yes.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom, everybody.
Hi, Sylvia.
Hi, Karen.
Hey,
Hi. Hi, Mike.
hey. Shabbat shalom to everyone.
Shabbat shalom.
David. David, I don't see your picture, but I see you there. Hey, Aaron.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
Hi, Aaron.
Hi, Karen. Nice to see you.
Nice to see you.
Hi, Andrea.
It's great to see you, Karen.
For anybody who's interested, I'm going away for a week. Yay. I can't wait.
Have a great trip.
Thank you very much.
Be careful.
Will do. Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom. Shabbat shalom. In peace.